Sri Lanka's parliament will vote for the country's new president tomorrow. Now, 3 candidates are in the race for that top job. But while acting President Ranil Wickremesinghe earlier appeared to be a shoo-in for that position, a new frontrunner has emerged.
Ranil Wickremesinghe මැතිතුමාගේ නම
Sri Lanka's acting president, Ranil Wickremesinghe, will face off with 2 rivals in the race to be the country's next leader. Dullas Alahapperuma and Anura Disanayake are also running for the top job. But in a surprising twist, Mr. Alahapperuma appears to be the leading challenger. He now has the backing of key members in the ruling SLPP party and opposition leader Sajith Premadasa, who withdrew from the race. Reports say Mr. Premadasa has struck a deal to become Prime Minister if Mr. Alahapperuma is elected.
නාම යෝජනා ඉදිරිපත් කිරීම මම යෝජනා කරනවා ගරු ඩලස් අලහප්පෙරුම මැතිතුමා.
ඩලස් අලහප්පෙරුම මන්ත්‍රීතුමාගේ නම මම ස්ථිර කරමි.
Mr. Alahapperuma has long worked in the shadows of the Rajapaksa clan's ruling party. The 63-year-old lawmaker is a former journalist and served as Minister of Mass Media. He was an ally of the Rajapaksas, but resigned in April when former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa dissolved the cabinet and protests against the government gained momentum. Mr. Alahapperuma says solutions to the country's economic woes should be found within a democratic and constitutional framework, a sentiment that may resonate with voters hoping for a more independent government.
රටට සෙටප් කරන හොඳ නායකයෙක් අපිට පක්ෂ ભેදයක් තොරව රටට අපි වගේ සාමාන්‍ය ජනතාවට හොඳක් කරන කවුරු නායකයෙක් වුණත් අපි කැමති පත් වෙනවට.
But Mr. Alahapperuma's succession is not guaranteed. Mr. Wickremesinghe was just days ago considered the frontrunner since he became acting president after Gotabaya Rajapaksa resigned. The SLPP's Secretary General has backed him for the job, but opponents fear he represents an extension of the Rajapaksa rule. Anti-government protesters have staged another rally in Colombo demanding Mr. Wickremesinghe resign.
Well, as Sri Lanka roils in its political and economic crisis, the desperate situation is making its neighbour, India, concerned. The Indian government has called an all-party meeting to discuss Colombo's turmoil. New Delhi has been so far playing a hands-off role, providing aid such as fuel shipments. Rebecca Bundan joins us live now from Mumbai for more on this story. Hello, Rebecca. It's good to see you. 2 parties from the state of Tamil Nadu in India, they've demanded that the Indian government intervene here. What are their concerns?
Yes, that's right. So it was the AIA-DMK and the DMK regional parties in Tamil Nadu that actually put pressure on the central government to call this all-party meeting to discuss the situation in Sri Lanka, which will be addressed, which will see the Finance Minister of India and the External Affairs Minister of India addressing all the party's leaders. Now, the reason behind this is because Tamil Nadu has actually seen they're concerned about the Tamil population in Sri Lanka. They've actually seen already a number of people from the Tamil population fleeing Sri Lanka because of the economic crisis over there, fleeing into the state of Tamil Nadu because they actually share linguistic, cultural and social ties. There are actually quite a lot of similarities. And this was something that was also seen during the civil war in Sri Lanka, which ran for 26 years until 2009, which actually saw a lot of people from the Tamil population fleeing into the state of Tamil Nadu in South India. Now, this has become a concern. It's being reported that this is a concern in the state. So that's really the main reason for those parties actually putting this pressure on the government to discuss the situation in Sri Lanka and see what else can potentially be done by India to actually help ease the situation as that ongoing economic and political crisis continues in Sri Lanka, with people facing massive shortages of fuel and food and medicine.
Yeah, in the meantime, Sri Lanka does desperately need that aid, and India has already been the principal source of foreign assistance to Sri Lanka this year. Can we expect New Delhi to provide even more aid to the country now, Rebecca, or any other type of support?
India's really been taking the lead here. It has provided, already just this year, it's provided $3.8 billion worth of support to Sri Lanka. Now, this has come in the support of credit lines, loans, grants, aid. These credit lines have allowed Sri Lanka to get access to fuel, although it's still suffering shortages because of the massive shortages of foreign reserves that it's facing, that's making it difficult for the country to get imports into the country. So the country, yes, Sri Lanka does need a lot more support as this economic crisis continues. And India has said that it will continue to support Sri Lanka economically. This has given India an opportunity to really overtake China this year in terms of the support that it's been giving Sri Lanka, and it has said that it will continue to actually lend support. It talks about this neighbourhood first policy where India wants to help its neighbours, and Sri Lanka is actually central to that. So there is an opportunity. There was a report in the Indian Express newspaper today with comments from the High Commissioner in Sri Lanka, India's High Commissioner, that is, saying that India would provide wanted more investment to come into Sri Lanka, that it would be providing more help. So that's very much expected.
Rebecca, thank you very much for that. Rebecca Bundan there in Mumbai.